Welcome to the Gym Plus Coffee podcast. Welcome to episode 4. I'm Ian, producer of the podcast and member of the Gym Plus Coffee community team. On this week's episode, co-founder Diarmuid McSweeney sits down with Christine Higgins. Christine is founder of Spiritual Wellness Christine. She's a Reiki Master, spiritual coach, yoga instructor, and recently won Best Outdoor Experience at our Make Life Richer Awards for her full moon healing circles, which she runs with Níall O'Murchu, featured on episode 1. These sessions on Killiney Beach help to raise much needed funds for the charity Suicide or Survive. Christine's passion is to help empower people to start living in alignment. She wants people to harness the power within themselves and understand the natural energies that surround them. Speaking of energy, Christine has it in abundance. She brings her humour, passion, and her healing to all her gatherings and isn't afraid to have some fun along the way. In this episode, we'll hear how Christine got started. We'll learn about energy levels and, more importantly, energy balance. We'll learn about not just the importance of Mother Earth, but Grandmother Moon and Grandfather Sun, which are things I knew nothing about. Christine also gives an insight on what to expect at a healing circle, just in case you wanted to try it out for yourself. Hope you enjoy.
Christine, you're very welcome. It's amazing to have you on the podcast, and I suppose kind of to have you back in a way after getting to know you and chatting to you at the awards a few weeks ago. Obviously, you and Níall won Best Outdoor Experience, which the community obviously have really reacted to, having over 1,000 people at some of those events. I think, was it 1,200 people at the last one?
Yeah, there's particularly in the summer now, it gets very busy.
Yeah, well, you're very welcome, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation, to come at it from, I suppose, a slightly different angle and to get your experience of what you've been doing. But as I do my research, it is Reiki Master, energy healer, yoga instructor, the list goes on.
Yeah.
I'd love to know, just from you in your own words, what has been your journey, over the last, say, 10 years maybe, as you've dipped in and out of those different areas, and what have kind of been some of the milestones along the way? Can you just give us a bit of a whistle-stop tour of what you've been doing?
Well, I just think I might have to go to the very start of it. I grew up with my dad suffering from manic depression and schizophrenia, so mental health was always around me, but it was brushed under the carpet. So that was my first dip into mental health and how it affects the family. So as I migrated through that in my 20s and 30s and became a parent myself, I was always quite aware of my thoughts and my feelings, but I was also very spiritual. Like, I was about 11 or 10 burning the candles in my bedroom, much to my mom's disgust because she'd be freaking out and burn the house down. The incense would be going. I used to have my own tarot cards and all. But with the experience with my dad from mental health, I sort of stepped away from the spiritual path. And I think a lot of people do. Because we're all born with this deep connection to spirit. But then, was a parent, and I realised mental health was really, really important, and my own mental health started suffering. So my dad died in 2013, and that I'd been repressing all those emotions for years of my experience growing up in that environment. And when he died, all the repressed emotions just came bubbling to the surface. At the time, I had my own business in special effects makeup, actually. That was really cool. And I ran
It's a different podcast.
I know, that's a different podcast. But I sold it on. But I was working. I was like in the rat race. Had never had a day off. Like yourself, you know what your own business is. Like, you put your heart and soul into it. But then I had 4 kids. Actually, I had 3 at the time. I was pregnant on the 4th, and my dad died, and it literally just an avalanche of emotion came, and suddenly I was being assessed in Unit 8 in Hollis Street, just down the road there, for my mental health. And luckily enough, it was just I was so overwhelmed with everything. But it caused me to be induced early, and during labour, I hemorrhaged and lost half my body weight in blood, and I woke up in ICU. Wow. And that's when I said, this is like, I can't keep going like this. I can't keep burning the candles at both ends. I was really didn't know who I was. Like if your dad said to me, what's your favourite song? I wouldn't have a clue. I was just so knee deep in people pleasing, in burning the candles at both ends, really not knowing who I was. And there was no wellness, no spirituality in my forte at that moment in time. So 4 days after coming out of hospital after that ordeal, I had to walk back into my business, completely drained, and bring my baby in my Moses basket. And I looked down at her and just went, this can't continue. I need to create more balance in my life. I need to find out who I am again. So I set up selling the business, and then I started finding yoga. So yeah, yoga just completely saved me. And I was in Shavasana one day, and I started in my third eye getting all these flashes of the Reiki colours. And I was like, what's that? You know, and I went to yoga teacher, said, I'm after seeing all these colours. And at the time I didn't know it was Reiki colours. And I was like, what's this? And teacher was like, oh, I don't know, looking at me like I had 10 heads. I was like, I think I might have activated something. So I then sat around starting to keep yoga, kept meditating. And then slowly but surely I started migrating back onto my spirituality path. And I remember after I sold the business, now you think about it with the special effects makeup business, like we were on the floor, me and my husband, my kids, we were like, oh my God, them 4 years of 5 years of hard work, like, you know, it took everything from me. And I remember sitting down with my husband after selling the business. I went, right, so my next business, it's going to be the wellness industry, and the product is going to be me. And he was like, Christine, will you stop? We're nearly split up. Bloody hell, you nearly died. Will you stop? And I went, no, I can feel it within me. Like there's another business in there, but it's about helping people and bringing my experience to the community. So I even drew up a mock website in 2016 and had like my life coach, and I had yoga, everything on it. But I had to overcome something which was really big, which was stepping into my own power. I still had self-doubts. I still didn't believe in my own abilities. I was still caught up in people pleasing. And also I have a fear of judgment, and I also have a fear of public speaking. And so like when you look at me now, you're like, what?
Yeah, I was like, you smashed all those doors down. Anyway.
Oh, stop. It's been a journey. Like I then just pushed it away then, and I had to go through a lot of evolving and a lot of situations in this journey to overcome those obstacles, you know, on a personal level, big time, you know, like I'm walking the walk, like talking, or whatever how'd you say that? Walk the talk, talk the walk. I always get that saying.
Walking the talk.
I always get that saying mixed up. But I had to go through a lot to start believing in myself and my abilities, because when I had the business and the repressed emotions from my dad's being alive and mental health issues, like that really affected me as a child, you know, and it really took away my power and my self-worth, and I had to slowly rebuild that. But everything is a process, and everything is divine timing, you know. So what happened then, I kept with the yoga. I then signed up for a yoga teacher training course just before lockdown, and then lockdown happened. And it was funny, at that time I was vibrating out of different friend environments, you know, groups that weren't serving me at the time, that I was still dimming my light, still fitting around them to be accepted. And like where COVID brought a lot of like the heartache that it did, and but to me it made me realise and reevaluate my life and who was in my life, and where I was being celebrated, not just tolerated. So in a way, COVID sort of injected a lot of more of my passion of who I am and what is my power and how can I spread it to the community. So when lockdown happened and adhering to the social distancing rules, I started yoga on the beach, and it was 2 meters between everyone, and we just started doing yoga on the beach because I knew people were suffering. I've experienced a few people that are in my circles that had decided to take their own lives as well. I could see that ripple effect to their families, to us, me as well as friends, and being on the outside, and also the community, you know. There is a ripple effect when someone takes their life in the community, and a lot of people suffer from it. So while teaching beach yoga, I also started going into energy healing, started learning Reiki, and I really saw the benefits of it, and I trained to Reiki Master level 3. And one day I was teaching beach yoga, and I just looked around, and I just saw a vision of loads of people meditating on the beach, and I was like, I think this is what people need. And the lockdowns were starting to lift, but still everyone was like anxiety, real anxious, didn't know how to come out into the world, you know. I sort of think like we were all like little like caterpillars in our cocoons, and then it was like you either come out as a butterfly or you stay in your cocoon, you know, because people were just so nervous. And August 2021, I wanted to really do this, but the fear was totally like paralyzed, in a sense where the fear of judgment, the fear of that imposter syndrome, you know, will people get me? Especially like, you know, in local area, they would have been used to old unhealed Christine falling out with the local pub, you know what I mean? And, you know, always out for the party, first one out, last one home, do you know what I mean? And then suddenly this Christine's emerging like a butterfly, creating what they think cults on Killiney Beach, you know what I mean? So it's like, what the hell happened to Christine, you know, in the local area?
What a reinvention.
Yeah, it's funny. But, you know, there was that fear of judgment as well, that I carried from my childhood trauma as well. So I was really, really nervous, and I just, but didn't want to do it. Like, you know, I'm very connected to spirit, and I'm very, I go with my intuition, and my intuition was screaming like, people need this, you need to be on that beach for the next full moon. And the reason why it's the full moon is, when I was younger, we used to live in a bungalow, and I used to climb out onto the roof. And when it got really too heavy, the energy in the house, I used to climb up on the roof and sit up and just watch the moon. And I used to just imagine all my emotions being offloaded onto Grandmother Moon, and she'd just carry them away. And then I'd just sort of feel real cleanse and release of the stagnant energy, and then just climb back down off the roof and go into my bedroom. Wow. Like, you know, so it was always like I had that connection, emotional connection to Grandmother Moon as well. So it was always going to have to be the full moon. You know, the full moon is illuminates everything that we need to clear and release, that we're holding on to, you know. So
and is that true? Is that the case for everyone? Because I suppose, yeah, educate me here, because that's a very kind of personal experience for you, childhood. What is the connection between us, you know, energy levels, the moon, like? Yeah, teach me what's going on there. It feels like through obviously your event, you know, with Níall, that's what it's all kind of themed around. But what is actually what's going on there between us and the moon?
So I was hoping you'd ask me this question. So we are all connected to all the energies. Like Albert Einstein said, everything is energy. Okay, the moon, the sun, cosmos, the universe, Mother Earth. Like, you know, we as humans, we've been conditioned since around the 1700s that, like, you know, we live in a system, we live in brick, like houses made of bricks, we wear shoes that disconnects us from the ground, from Mother Earth, you know. The drinking is a big culture. It was at it's starting to filter out a little bit, but like we were disconnecting from ourselves, from our own intuition, from our own abilities of our own power, but everything is connected. So the Grandmother Moon signifies our emotions, and we're very connected to women, actually, because women menstruate like 29.5 days. The lunation of the moon is 29.5 days, so women are very connected to the moon. With the sun, it's grandfather. It's the grandfather sun, where it's masculine energy. You know, it's standing in your power. It's that solar energy. Like, we get different energies from those different elements. And also, if you think back to the Egyptians, how they used the pyramids, then also on our own Irish soil, Newgrange, how they used the sun to use that energy. And we get that energy from this, the elements that are around us. Like Mother Earth, if you know, a lot of people were like called to the sea during lockdowns. They were called to the forests because the forest was healing them, grounding them. The sea was cleansing and transforming them. You know, like intuitively, we as humans were doing it, you know, but we weren't really knowing why we were doing it.
It's time for a quick break. I hope you're enjoying the episode. Just to let you know that we have a special discount code for podcast listeners. If you go to our website and enter POD15, you'll get 15% off. That's POD15 for 15% off on all Gym Plus Coffee websites. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, and turn on that notification button so you never miss an episode. Now let's get back to the chat.
Sorry, just to wind back, because when you were talking there, you were just I was transfixed as you went through your journey. But just to maybe wind the clock back a small bit, so that moment when you had that experience when you were, I suppose, getting into yoga, if that's the right way of saying it, like, what was that Reiki experience? And can you also explain, like, what, just for people who don't know, like, what is Reiki? And
Yep.
I'm sure people are seeing that term or that coming up a lot more now, but what is that exactly?
So we've been conditioned through religion and the system to think that the power is outside of us. Like God is out there. We have to bow down and worship out there. However, God is within all of us. You know, we have the power. We have a really good ability within ourselves to tap into our inner wisdom, tap into our ancestors, tap into our guidance. So anytime we're like confused about making a decision in life, you know, ultimately we know what the answer is because we can hear it from within. However, we're so caught up in the noise that's around us that we're not listening. Like, we're not listening, we're stepping away from our own power. With Reiki energy, it's connecting to source. So you have 7 chakras along your spine. You also have a soul chakra about a foot above your crown chakra. And you also have a earth chakra about 2 feet below your feet. So that axis, like you are that axis. And you're connecting from the earth up to source. When we activate our third eye, and we can do that by daily meditations, keeping our vibrations raised, staying away from low vibrational activities like, you know, drinking, thought process, environments that you're putting yourself into. Even gossiping is a low vibrational thing. And I totally out the gossip loop around the local area. I haven't got a clue what's going on. It's great. But when we step into the high vibrational activities, we're activating our power. We're also activating our third eye, our intuition, our awareness, you know. And with Reiki energy healing, we're connecting to source. I'm not a healer. I don't sit there and go, okay, I'm going to heal you. I'm the vessel for the energy to work through. So I channel it from source, comes down through me and out through my hands, and I put it into your chakras. Your chakras spin when they're all aligned and balanced clockwise. But when they're out of alignment, they may be stagnant or they might be spinning the other way. So they'll manifest into something in your body. So say if your root chakra was out of alignment, you might get a UTI. Say if your sacral chakra, which is just at your belly button, you might suffer from IBS. Sacral chakra is all about creativity, emotions, relationships. So if you're having any issues around those areas, you might start getting IBS. Your heart chakra, you know, you're holding all your emotions, you're holding your deep connection to your ancestors as well, because your heart chakra is the direct link to your ancestral lineage. You could be sitting here but need to heal 8 generations back because there's a continuous cycle of trauma going through your ancestors' lineage. And it may be that you're here in this lifetime to learn and heal from it as well. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
I know. I went from Reiki and then I'm just nearly finished my shamanic course as well, which is amazing. Like, it just completely opens up your world and your knowledge and your wisdom about really how it all works.
Well, that's an amazing transformation from what you described.
Have you got a long podcast?
Yeah, from what you described from in Hollis Street and coming like all that way. Wow, that's incredible. Is technology a big blocker to a lot of that? I presume, just with how much mobile phone usage.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi. We don't see the energetic frequencies going past us. Everything's about frequency, you know, higher vibrational activities. You're raising your frequency. When I'm doing an energy healing, like, I will get that person into a meditative space that they will raise their frequency to match the high frequency that I can channel down into them. So it's all about frequency. It's so popular with music. If you notice, all this popular music that's out today is near enough the same tone. It's the same frequency. And I'm not going to go too deep into this, but there's a reason for that, is to keep everyone on a low vibration. If you think about it, the music back in the 60s, 70s was all free flowing. It was all different. It was absolutely amazing back then. But if you notice, all the music is the same tempo, same frequency.
Wow.
That's to keep us at the low vibration.
Okay. Now you're going to be listening to music in a completely different way. To make it kind of practical for people in how they think about their own day, like, how do you monitor your own, say, screen time or phone usage so that it's useful for you in the work that you do, and obviously, you know, so much of us connect through social media now for good reasons. But how do you monitor that so it doesn't become an obstacle or a barrier to what you're trying to do for your own physical and mental health?
Yeah, no, big time. You know, my business is on Instagram, do you know, it is on like emails and Facebook. So, it's quite hard. I'm human as well, you know. It's so addictive to just pick up the phone when you wake up in the morning and start scrolling, you know what I mean? But what I try and do is I'll get up in the morning, I'll do my meditation, I'll have a cup of cacao, I'll just really tap into higher source and just get all my journaling done and out of the way. And then I'll do an hour or two on social media and then put it away. And I'll probably go and do some grounding work, which would be like going to the sea for a sea swim, bring my dog Leo for a walk in the forest. And sort of, it's having that balance. Like, we have to migrate through this environment, like having a balance. You know, just if you're on your screen for like 7 or 8 hours a day, then there's an issue there. Do you know what I mean? But if you're there working and also socializing on it for 2 hours, but then doing 2 hours of like, you know, fitness or meditating or, you know, going out and just spending time out in nature, then that's the balance. You know, like I have a 13-year-old boy and a 10-year-old boy, and like, Jesus, getting them off the PlayStation is unreal. I hate that what is it? That game. But I just hate it. But they're in that space where they need to socialize as well and play games. So it's all about balance. I go, okay, well, if you do 2 hours, then you're out the door for 2 hours. Do you know what I mean? So it is about getting that right.
You mentioned journaling there. How important is that, do you think, nowadays for people to really center themselves?
Yeah, I think journaling is really good. It's really like so many thoughts in our heads. Like, you know, I think there's like 32,000 thoughts in our heads in like an hour or something. Probably even more. But like, it's up to us, like, to sort of determine what thoughts we want to hold on to. I always do this little exercise, actually, when people come to me, say they're very anxious. I say, okay, well, close down your eyes and just imagine your brain, your mind, and just imagine loads of balloons just on the top roof of your mind. And then say, pick 2 colours, and they normally say red or blue. And then say, okay, well, which ones are negative balloons and which ones are the positive balloons? And they'll say either colour. So say, okay, well, reach your hand up, take down a balloon. What colour is it? So what's the thought, you know? If it's a positive one and they've named it red, and they go, well, tie that on your wrist and carry that around your day. Then you might pull down another one and say it's a negative one. Well, what are you going to do with it? You're going to tie it to your wrist and hold on all day? You're going to let it go. So then they visually let it go. And it's a really good visual sort of exercise to get people to start thinking that and understanding that their thoughts are not them. They're just fleeting seconds of ideas and thoughts, and it depends on which one you're going to hold on to. And it dictates your day, you know. I forgot what you've asked me. I've just went off on one there.
No, it's nicely. It's all kind of intertwined, I guess, into journaling and people just kind of slowing down and giving themselves their own kind of thought process or framework, I guess, because a lot of people don't have those frameworks or tools to lean on, you know. I think people are very willing or kind of hungry to learn, but a lot of people are, they're wanting to slow down, but they just don't know how to.
Yeah, like that's with the journal as well, is like, you know, write down the thoughts, empty out your mind, because we are holding them so much in our minds that it can get very noisy in there as well, you know. But like, just really 1 or 2 questions of how you feel today, you know, what worked well today, where can I improve, or I'm really annoyed with something. Well, write it down, let it all out on a piece of paper, you know what I mean? Nice. You might not have that opportunity to tell the person how you feel, but if you write it all down, you're energetically doing it.
Yeah. So we have to move on to the best outdoor experience at the Make Life Richer Awards. Tell us about the Full Moon Healing Circle, how that came about, and also I'd love to know if you could describe in a way like the atmosphere and the community that's there. Like what is happening there for someone who's never gone that makes it so special and makes over 1,000 people want to sit on the beach when it's quite cold, because you've been doing it during winter time as well.
Do it every month.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
I just saw the vision when I was teaching yoga, and I put it up on Instagram, and I was bricking it because I was like, who's going to come? There's no booking system. You just rock up if you feel called to do it. I picked Suicide Survive, the charity, to raise funds for. I'll never charge for anyone to attend the Full Moon Healing Circle because that is the charity event and it's for Suicide Survive. It's for raising awareness around mental health, and that's a little nod to my dad and his life on earth at that time. And then, yeah, it's all about raising vibrations. We, on the first month when I put it up, I was bricking it, like absolutely bricking it, and 100 people showed up to the beach, and I was amazed. And I'm not messing, like my throat was gone, my knees were knocking. I picked up a bottle of water and I was just like that. I was like, oh my God, I gotta pull it, get yourself together, you know, because I was literally fighting every single childhood trauma that I've built up to now, which was like the fear of judgment, the imposter syndrome, that never stepping into my light fully, you know. But something, when I just said, right, there's 100 people here, they're here because they're drawn here, and this event is not about me, it's about the people who come. And that's something I really learned, that like I'm just holding the space. Me and Níall are just holding the space here for people to arrive and they feel drawn to, and ultimately it's about them, it's not about us, you know. So yeah, I just stood up and went welcome, and then it's like as if I really think it's my spirit team just stepping in and taking over, because I've never like rehearsed meditation. I've never rehearsed like the shamanic drum meditations I do either. I never rehearse what I say because full moon always is in a different energy, a different sun sign. So there's always a different energy about it. Okay. And I channel, like I'm channeling from source of what to say. And because I can never remember what I say after. It's like even energy healing, I'm like, I can't remember what happened there. So it's just I step aside. It's like my personality steps aside, so my soul steps forward and works with my spirit team.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah, so then when the first one was done, I was like, wow, it actually worked. I pulled it off. So then there was another message going, you have to do it again next month. I was like, wow, I have to do it next month. And like, if you think about it, like I wouldn't sleep for 4 days prior because my nerves would be gone. I'd be anxious. I'd be struggling with it. I'd be wishing for a storm to come, so I have to cancel. And but the knowing that I had to be on that beach was more stronger than the fear. Do you know what I mean? Mm. So then that was August, and then in October, I realised I needed something special, and it was real funny how me and Níall met. That July, I went to one of his Wimrise events on White Rock. And all I went over was said, hiya, and he went, hiya. And then that was it. That was it. Like, so then in October, I was like, I need a breathwork healer. But I'd also gotten a knock with my confidence as well. And I wasn't going to go ahead with the full moon. I was really struggling internally. It was just a knock, you know. It just really, really got to me. And my imposter syndrome was starting to take over. And I remember being really, really upset for 3 days. And I was like, right, I know I have to do the full moon, but I just haven't got the confidence. I can't do it. Like, I was really struggling. And just my guides just turned around and said, text Bridget with Níall. And I was like, he doesn't know me from Adam. So I had 3 days fighting with my spirit guides going, he doesn't know me from Adam. He is well established. He won't need nothing to do with me. He won't even know who I am. And on the third day, it was just so strong. It was like, every time I meditate, it was like, breathe with Níall, breathe with Níall, breathe with Níall. And I was like, right, fine. So I messaged him on Instagram and I said, hi Níall, it's Christine here. I do the full moon, looking for a breathwork instructor. I think it'd be a great addition to the event. And then he came straight back and goes, oh my God, I've seen all your work you're doing. I'm really, really impressed. I'd love to do it with you. And then that just, the two of us just work so well together. Like, you know, we're like two kindred spirits. We get it. You know, there is no ego. There's no nothing on that beach. It's just we're there providing the space for the people that come.
That's amazing. So from your experience, right, you're getting over 1,000 people on a beach in Ireland for quite powerful spiritual experiences, I guess. You've been doing that now for 2 years, but the journey over the last few years going in and out of different areas like we've discussed. What do you think, I know you can't speak in kind of broader terms, but what do you think's happening like with those kind of health and wellness trends in Ireland? Like what's the change you're seeing, or there must be something really powerful going on if you've got over 1,000 people on a beach in really, really cold weather. Like, what do you, in your opinion, like, what do you think is happening?
Oh, I know what's happening. There is a rise in human consciousness across the world. You'll see it. Everyone is going to step into their spiritual path. The veil is being lifted. The system's not working. Religion doesn't serve us. Spirituality is not to religion. It's a state of mind, and it's a state of being as well. And human on a collective level is going to move into that space. So it's going to be a very powerful space. It's actually a great time to be alive, to witness all this evolution and evolving on the human consciousness.
I'm really interested to look back on that the more we speak to people and get their opinion on what's happening, because it's coming from so many different angles, and it's just really interesting to hear your answer to that, because I think we can all relate to that in a different way. But
everyone's individual, they all have their own paths and they're all on their different healing journey as well, and they're all at different levels. Nice. But eventually it's a collective collective rise of human consciousness.
And my final question is, our whole passion, or why we kind of set up Gym Plus Coffee, this idea to make life richer. Everyone has a different interpretation of it, a different opinion on what that means to them, how it connects with them in a different way. It's so important to us that we named the awards, the Make Life Richer Awards, and it was really cool even that evening to hear people's different perspectives on what it meant to them and how they connected with that message. What does that phrase mean, make life richer, to you? And it can be words, or it can be an idea, and you can answer by a definition or just your experience, but like, when you hear that, like, what does that actually mean to you?
Make life richer. Well, there's magic in the world. There's magic all around us, and it's all in frequencies and energy. And make life richer is about, stepping out of the mundane, the heaviness, and looking around and saying, well, how can I step into my power? How can I find joy in my life again? And, make life richer, like, it's a whole community. Like, we're really touching into that community of, we all work together. We can be in unison, and everyone can help themselves to step into their power. Do you know what I mean? So it's a collective level that once one person steps into power, the other one comes in. It's like a domino effect,
Yeah.
But like, that's what it's all about. Like, it's about bringing the magic back to life again.
Love that. Christine, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast. Congrats on everything that you've built with, particularly the Full Moon Healing Circle with Níall, and congrats on everything you've gone in the journey, even going back from the start of what you said and the trauma and getting to where you are today. But thanks for sharing your experience.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to the Gym Plus Coffee podcast. If you enjoy these conversations, don't forget to follow us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, and turn on that notification button so you never miss an episode. Don't forget, we have a special discount code for podcast listeners. Go to our website and enter POD15 for 15% off. That's POD15 for 15% off on all Gym Plus Coffee websites. Thanks for listening.